Hello, my name is Iru. Our topic today is whether Malaysia should develop nuclear energy to replace fossil fuels. Our group firmly supports developing nuclear energy as a long-term alternative to fossil fuels. I will briefly walk you through our presentation structure. First, my group member will introduce the risks of Malaysia's heavy dependence on fossil fuels. Then we will illustrate the economic advantage of nuclear energy development. Then we will share relevant international case studies for reference. Last, we will propose particular policy suggestions for the Malaysian government. Today, we aim to analyze the economic feasibility and long-term sustainability of nuclear energy of Malaysia's future energy transition. Now, let's move on to the first part.
My name is Stephanie and I will continue the explanation about the problem of fossil fuel dependence. Fossil fuel creates negative externalities because the production of electricity causes costs to society that are not paid by producers. In Malaysia, the use of fossil fuels contributes to problems such as air pollution, health issues, climate change, and environmental damage. Although electricity producers benefits from lower production costs, society bears the wider consequences of pollution. This means producers do not bear for the full social cost of their action, which leads to inefficient resource allocation and reduced social welfare. This situation is considered a market failure in microeconomics. Electricity producers mainly focus on private costs such as fuel, labor, and production expenses. However, society also experiences additional external costs including pollution, healthcare costs, and environmental damage. Therefore, marginal social cost or SMC is higher than private marginal cost PMC. Since the market price does not reflect the true social cost of production, electricity from fossil fuels is overproduced, leading to negative effects on society and the environment. Because producers only consider marginal private costs, the market produced at quantity market, which is higher than the socially efficient level, quantity efficient. This creates debt weight loss and reduces social welfare.
Hi, my name is Wang Chunyu, and I will proceed with the discussion of the economic rationale for nuclear energy. There are several reasons why Malaysia should use nuclear energy. In the current time, there is market failure because of the use of fossil fuels. Private cost is what we pay in terms of cost of coal, labor, and capital for electricity generation from coal and natural gas. However, there are costs that affect society, and they are the following: air pollution, carbon emissions, environmental destruction. These are examples of negative externalities. Macroeconomics. Social marginal cost of fossil fuel electricity exceeds private marginal cost. Since the cost above is not included in the price paid, there is overproduction of electricity generated from fossil fuels. As a result, debt weight loss occurs and social welfare decreases. Nuclear energy used to overcome the challenge mentioned above. In other words, it would allow producing a substantial amount of energy in an eco-friendly manner, as well as provide dispatchable power at any time. While compared to the solar and wind, nuclear power has the aforementioned advantage. In addition, nuclear power generates positive externalities. Malaysia could benefit from clean air, low emissions of pollutants, increased electricity security, and decreased dependence on fossil fuel. Yet, it might be the case that some firms undervalue their investments in nuclear energy due to its high upfront cost, long periods before construction completion, and low financial return. Therefore, it is economically justified for the government to intervene. For instance, subsidies and regulation may prove effective in solving the issue.
Hi everyone, my name is Youran Xu. Today I will introduce an international case study. France is an example of nuclear energy's contribution to national energy security. France's development of nuclear energy reduced its reliance on fossil fuel for electricity production. This is crucial for Malaysia, which is highly dependent on coal and gas. Rising fossil fuel price worldwide can lead to electricity price increases. France's experience showed that nuclear power can provide a stable, low-emission electricity supply. Yet France also demonstrates that nuclear energy is a long-term strategy that demands reliability of safety code and technical expertise. Malaysia should view nuclear energy as an investment and not a shortcut in energy security. World Nuclear Association 2026. The case of South Korea is particularly pertinent as it illustrates how nuclear power can contribute to the economic development of an Asian industrial economy. South Korea has 26 nuclear reactors that generate about one-third of its electricity. This helps ensure stable power to households, manufacturing, and technology industries. This is important for Malaysia as electricity demand is likely to increase in tandem with economic development, particularly with emergencies of digital industries. Data center and manufacturing nuclear power can help this development by delivering base load power in general, such as cleaner and more reliable electricity, and promote long-term energy security, as demonstrated in France and South Korea.
Hi, I'm Kang Johan, and I will explain the economic implication of nuclear energy. At the beginning, even though nuclear energy generates positive externalities, foreigners prefer invest in fossil fuels because they focus on private marginal benefit instead of social marginal benefit. This may cause market failure. From the diagram, SMB is greater than PMB due to unpriced social benefits. Firms produce where PMB equals PMC, leading to output at QP. This is below the socially optimal level QS, causing underproduction. The shaded area represents labor loss, which is the loss of social welfare. In this case, the government can provide a subsidy to encourage investment in nuclear energy. This increases private incentives by raising PMB, leading to a higher investment. From the diagram, the subsidy will shift the PMB curve outward, output rise from QP to QS. At QS, allocative efficiency is achieved when PMB plus subsidy equals SMB. As a result, social welfare is maximized and labor loss is removed, correcting market failure. Once operational, nuclear energy has low marginal costs because most costs are fixed and spread over a long lifespan, while fossil fuels have higher marginal costs. As a result, nuclear energy improves allocative efficiency and reduces negative externalities. Therefore, it is a more efficient option than fossil fuels. Now, my group member will conclude the presentation.
To conclude our whole presentation today, Malaysia has long depended heavily on fossil fuels, which brings high economic costs and survives negative environmental externalities. From the economic perspective, nuclear energy has outstanding long-term cost advantage and can effectively improve Malaysia's energy security. By learning from successful overseas cases and implementing proper government facilities, nuclear energy can become a reliable, clean energy for Malaysia. Therefore, our group firmly believes that developing nuclear energy is a wise choice for Malaysia's sustainable development in the future. Thank you all for listening. We are ready for any questions.